proposes that this should be done without the involvement of Ecowas.
Mixed reactions trailed the referral by the Ecowas Commission as requested by the Gambian government to cooperate with Ecowas in setting up the International Tribunal. The tribunal is to deal with human rights violations and abuses committed on the Gambian territory between July 22, 1994 and January 21, 2017.
I'm opening the floor for general debate.
My name is Ahmed Idris. I represent or members across Parliament from Nigeria. Madam Speaker, I first of all want to appreciate what our brothers have put in for us to consider. A very straightforward recommendation and memo for consideration. I think they have done the nitty-gritty of the job, and I want to lean that what they have recommended for us should be strictly followed. Something like this. We are treading on a very slippery ground within the West African sub-region, and we don't need to exacerbate and cause more harm into the system. I think the internal decisions and mechanisms of our various countries are the prerogative of every country to uphold and exercise. It is in line of this that is as guaranteed in the various constitution. It would be a serious contradiction for ECOWAS to go and set up a committee or a tribunal in any country. That may be a recipe for impunity, and I think it should not be allowed. And I don't want us to be derailed by the focus, and in line with the order of office also to uphold, to do justice and maintain fairness. I want to beg Madam Speaker and respected colleagues that we should discard the request from the ECOWAS Commission and do the right thing, and the right thing is to allow Gambia, if they want to do whatever they want to do and want to treat that in line with their law. It is only when they are floating their laws that ECOWAS Commission will now come to say, okay, no, this is not the way to go about it, so that we do not have exacerbation or disintegration. I think this is what we are supposed to be doing. We are not supposed to be leaders, but what we are collaborators in the exercise of our various functions. But as Speaker, I also want to accept and the Parliament should accept the recommendation, and a formal communication should be given to the ECOWAS that referrals should be followed, because if they have followed the right procedure, maybe this thing, and it's maybe trying to hide that they have now to delay. Otherwise, people who are now calling for this kind of exercise of function should know the right way to follow. Thank you very much. These are my submissions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm really delighted about what the committee has done in the final analysis, and I can see the hand of Honorable Snow in these deliberations at the end of the day, because Honorable Snow had witnessed in this country such a crisis of that nature. And I'm also from Côte d'Ivoire. We have also witnessed a crisis of that nature. I'm a medical doctor by training, and I have really experienced that crisis with women being raped and mutilated. I saw all manners of things. But at the end of that crisis, we had a dilemma, either to take revenge or not to take revenge. The president told us, when you take revenge because you are strong, and then the vengeance will never end, and you will lose the essence of being elected. We are elected to give water, electricity, health to our people, and at the end of the day, bring about development. That is what people are waiting for. But what I have observed with regards to this tribunal, it was a matter of justice of the winners against the losers. This is not good. And that is the reason why I like to congratulate the Joint Committee I would urge the Joint Committee to put in their recommendations that we should go for forgiveness. We should avoid vengeance. It's better to forgive one another. Something that happened since 1994 to 2017, well, if you wanted to do something, maybe 2 years later, maybe 2019, but 7 years later, you still want to open the wounds. This is just to create problems for ECOWAS. We have not finished issues with Mali, the same with Burkina Faso, and we wanted to create another hotspot in the Gambia. So I believe that it is good, and we should recommend to our Gambian colleagues to forgive one another. And they should, if you do vengeance, vengeance will never end. You need to support one another. I thank the committee for their work.
I'm supposed to be here, but there was an emergency in my country fighting again for the rights of children. And I want to say happily here that the President has just appended his signature on the abolition or prohibition of the early child marriage in Sierra Leone. That was why I was waiting to be part of that historic ceremony. And I want to thank my colleagues, the Joint Committee, and Honorable Snow from Liberia. I'm coming from Sierra Leone. I think we have faced some similar situations, but sometimes you have to let it go. We have heard from my colleagues about setting up the tribunal. First of all, as we heard from Honorable, there is a document and there was an agreement that was made during that regime for the then president to go. And it was agreed, the UN, the AU, and the government. And he left because of peace. And this same ECOWAS again, now our brothers are asking the ECOWAS again to chew or to pick or to lick what they have spit. And that is where we can be very, very, be careful. Let us be careful. In as much as I feel for them because of some of these atrocities that we are done in the country. But we have to be careful. You have all right to amend your constitution. You have all right to take your own decision by yourself. I don't want ECOWAS to interfere in any country's constitution. If you have done it, then you face, at the end of it all, you face the ECOWAS and put your case. Maybe you have a case. We'll look into that. But we don't want ECOWAS to be seen in the setting of the tribunal. And let us be reminded that we have yet problems that is on our head. ECOWAS is being given bad name, bashing, and everything. So do you want us again to carry this type of load again? No way. Please, let us be careful. In as much as we feel for you, we are women. They said women were raped. People were killed. You have all right. We set up our own, how we call it, special court during the war. We looked into some of the cases. But that is where we looked and removed the death penalty in our constitution. You have all right to amend your constitution. But you don't have to carry ECOWAS along so that they can be dictators. Tomorrow, who will face the bulk of it? Like what you heard from my colleagues there. Who will face the bulk of it? Is the ECOWAS. And Sierra Leone is part of the ECOWAS. So tomorrow, you are our sisters and brothers. And you are our in-law. We marry your sister. Tomorrow, they will face to us that you signed, you made this. And let us bear in mind, there are still Yaya Jammeh's people in the army. there are still Yaya Jammeh's people in the community. So let us take things as we call it. Please, I, as the chairperson for gender and women's empowerment, in as much as we are fighting for the rights of women and gender, please, let us do things as we believe it can happen. And I want to ask a question. How far have you gone with the sensitization? How far? We want to know the sensitization. We want to know the roar of the people in Gambia. We want to know the voice of the voiceless in Gambia. Then we'll be there to hear, we'll be there to say, it's just like when somebody is beating a child in a room and the child is crying there. If the child does not put the voice that, oh, mommy, come and help me, who will go there? So let us hear from Gambia. Let us hear the roar of the people. Let us hear what we have done as a people. Then maybe Ecowas will be there. So we don't want people again to carry the names. Ecowas, they have done it again. You have done this, you have done that. Please, these three people are the three countries that we are fighting for them to reunite. And we should know our TOR. We should know our responsibility. Our responsibility is to see peace in the sub-region. So with that, I want to support what the recommendations that the committee have given. And I want to say thank you for the recommendation and being so wise. Because if Gambia sneezes, Nigeria, Sierra Leone will catch the cold, and Guinea will catch the cold, and the rest. So we are all in it together. Let us all work together. Let us learn to forgive. Let us put everything behind our backs. Thank you very much.
Please allow me to thank members of the Joint Committee. Just like my colleague Orlando, I'm not a bona fide member of the committee, but I attended the proceedings of this committee, and I'm happy about the decision of the members of the Joint Committee to issue an unfavorable opinion concerning this decision of setting up the special tribunal. Madam Speaker, well, I will not make all the comments I wanted to make, but what I want to say in substance is that the fundamental issue by the founding fathers of ECOWAS is not what we are even seeing right now being pursued. Originally, ECOWAS was supposed to be for economic integration, just as one of our colleagues has hinted. And then you will observe that ECOWAS is fraught with many challenges. We should not be used to set up a tribunal like that. In that case, we're making a huge mistake. I understand the situation of our colleagues from the Gambia. If today the Gambia does not have the required tools to organize these tribunal proceedings, they can even send people for training, and then they can take advantage of the Guinean example, as colleagues from Guinea have said. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I strongly support this proposal made by this joint committee, and I do hope that the plenary will adopt this report as it has been presented. I thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me first of all congratulate members of the Joint Committee for the quality of the work done, and also for these courageous decisions they've taken of rejecting this proposal of establishing a special tribunal for the Gambia. Madam Speaker, I have some observations with regards to the report. First of all, talking about discussions. The items relating to the discussions, it was said that some observations and comments were made by members of the Joint Committee. It will be good for those of us who did not participate in the works of the committee. They should tease out some observations that were raised by members of that committee. This will help us to have a clearer view of the substance of the cases raised. It is important to mention such observations for some of us who were not in attendance at that committee. Furthermore, talking about recommendations, the recommendations were limited to the procedural aspects, talking about the deadline for referral was not respected and things like that. But we could have more information, because in terms of recommendations to the Ecowas Commission, I believe, for instance, we could advise the Ecowas Commission to draw inspiration from best practices from countries such as Guinea. Don't forget that our countries have also gone through unfortunate incidents, and independently we decided to create a special tribunal in our country, in Guinea. So when the government put it in place, of course, we had support from partners, but Guinea took the entire responsibility of setting up that tribunal and to make sure that this tribunal is still working right now. In terms of benchmarking, this is a good practice that ECOWAS should emulate to avoid what the honorable member said, so that ECOWAS should not be seen as being in the vanguard of such an initiative. This is my suggestion with regards to the recommendations made. Now let me come to the conclusion. Over and beyond the fact that if we participate in setting up this tribunal, it can tarnish the image of ECOWAS, but we can also talk about the need for ECOWAS to promote integration, peace, and recommendation in this member state. ECOWAS is already facing a lot of problems. We should not add to it. These aspects ought also to be clearly defined in the conclusion, so that what the Parliament is saying will be much stronger, so that this could also be accepted by the authority or heads of state. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Speaker Memunatu Ibrahim appreciated contributions of members, resolving to step down the decision of establishing the special tribunal.
To associate myself with the colleagues who preceded me, I was not a member of that committee that deliberated. Yesterday, I attended the meeting, and I want to congratulate the members of the Joint Committee for the very good report, and also to express my full agreement with the content and then the resolution that will be adopted later on. And by the interventions that we are hearing, there is a consensus in that we adopt the report and the resolution, because Gambia is a sovereign country and they are fully able, competent. They have to set up a law court or a tribunal in this particular case without the participation of ECOWAS. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
I really have to commend your bureau in the manner which we are taking the proceedings of the Parliament. I can see the Parliament is in a very solemn mood, and people are freely debating, expressing their candid opinion without any push and pull, and that is only happening under your very leadership. I must commend you for that. It's a very good start, and I hope that is going to continue. And I can see also, truly speaking, ECOWAS Parliament is in that shape as a parliament, even though we don't have that legislative power. However, the advisory role that we have, by what I have seen in the report and through what the honorable members are expressing, we are indeed in that move to be as a parliament. Honorable Speaker, the Gambia made a request for Ecowas to partner with the Gambia in trying to establish a special tribunal. And it is this request that is referred to Parliament for its opinion and candid advice. Parliament noted the referral and the conclusion where it's of importance to note as a country that is affected, 19, the Joint Committee is not comfortable for Ecowas to be part to the establishment of the said special tribunal. In the event that the proceeding of the tribunal faces any challenges or is queried, Ecowas stands to lose the legitimacy to mediate. This could further exacerbate the issues as there will be nowhere else to run to within the sub-region. And on 20, in view of the foregoing, the Joint Committee recognizes that the Gambia is free to establish any special tribunal it wishes that aims to seek redress to its citizens. However, it proposes that this should be done without the involvement of Ecowas, on the basis of which gave unfavorable opinion. I believe this is on the basis of technicality rather than the substance behind or the rationale behind establishing the special tribunal. And of course, this language is very clear for one to understand. If only at the time the Gambia was doing the consultation, this matter has been brought to the as Parliament. Parliament could have given that advice. Unfortunately, the Gambia made the consultation and request, favorable opinion was given, and that made the Gambia to go ahead, legislate laws that will pave way for the establishment of this tribunal with the partnership of Ecowas. What I would not understand, whether a cart was put before the horse, was a kind of situation. Gambia had given a favorable position for that partnership, and now that warranted us to involve Ecowas in our very status to establish this particular tribunal. If that's supposed to come back to Ecowas when the status is prepared and an opinion is supposed to be given that may be unfavorable, the unfortunate situation is a cart was put before the horse. And as a country, and as a parliamentarian, I respect this report on the basis of the principle that is spelled in it. One cannot be a referee and at the same time a player. That is understood. However, the need as spelled in the conclusion for Gambia to do the establishment of the court at our own level. I can tell you, somebody questioned how prepared Gambia is and the level of sensitization. The Gambia concluded the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the commission submitted the report, the citizenry want the implementation of the report. The victims that are affected, already they have established a center, and every day this center is crying that they must see justice to be done.
Ready to reconcile the nation, but you cannot go back to the victims and tell them that let's forgive, and you don't give them the justice they deserve. Justice before reconciliations, justice before reparations. You have so many family members who lost their loved ones, who are still living with the trauma. You have women and children who have been a victim, and still now they are blaming this current government for not doing so much for them to get their justice. Justice needs to serve for people to go back to the drawing board. I had the third deputy speaker citing South Africa. They also put on reconciliation, Truth and Reconciliation Commission. But after the conclusion, they went back, when the people have their justice, they went back to reconcile the nation. It's the same path the Gambia government also is trying to certify the victims. At the end of the day, doing the reparation, you can go back to the victims for them to harmonize in their heart, to give a chance, a peace, to have a reconciliation and forgiving mind and forgive the perpetrators. But the perpetrators also need to be out to apologize for the atrocities they committed, the atrocities they committed to the people who doesn't deserve to be a victim. Honorable Speaker, Gambia needs this reconciliation the most. And Gambia needs this tribunal also. Even the then government, you have certain members who still now, they don't believe.
I want to thank Chairman Snow, who was a co-chair of this committee for looking ahead properly. Honorable members, I'm taking the floor to contribute to the discussions, and we really need to look at issues much closely. Before I go ahead, I want it to be clear to all of us. I am against impunity in all its ramifications. I would want that anybody that committed criminal offense and that violated people's human rights should be judged in front of an impartial court that really respects all their rights. You are all aware, I come from Côte d'Ivoire, and my country was also torn apart by a rebellion. And we also had a post-electoral crisis that led to the death of thousands of people. Honorable Diamande has just said it. And at the end of that serious crisis, we set up a committee of truth, peace, and reconciliation, as it was done in South Africa after the apartheid regime in Rwanda, with the communal tribunals which were aimed at solving local problems, that is the Yakaka courts. Concerning our countries, some perpetrators were judged at the local level and even at the International Criminal Court, and the trials took place in front of the entire world, and the alleged perpetrators were judged. And today things are working well, and our country is going ahead with its development, like Rwanda and South Africa. That is why I don't understand why you want to set up this tribunal, because the Gambia should be looking for more unity towards having development. I also want to know that why would Ecowas Parliament want to take up the responsibility of establishing a special tribunal for the Gambia? We, members of Parliament, we carry the aspirations of our population. Sometimes we don't have the same understanding of things, just at the same level as those who are in Abuja and our ministers back home. Very early in Parliament, we understood that lifting the sanctions on Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger became necessary to safeguard union and unity in our region. We were not listening to at that time. Probably, maybe we didn't speak loud enough. This time around, we need to take up our responsibility with courage, and so that they can hear us. My third concern is linked to the credibility of our community institution that should be doing things for us to getting closer to the people instead of moving away from them. Let me remind you of a date. Thursday, 13 December 2016, at the presidential chambers of Banjul, John Dramani Mahama of Ghana and that of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, the Liberian leader Sharleaf, and Ernest Koroma of Sierra Leone, they met with the former President Yahya Jammeh so that they can negotiate his peaceful exit from power. During those negotiations, guarantees were given to him. So why is it that today this same Ecowas wants to set up a special tribunal? Madam Speaker, my colleagues have done well, because if we are able to set up this tribunal, this will be a bad precedent. A bad precedent, because first of all, we need to observe that, you know, there is this is like we're doing sometimes in ECOWAS when things are in our favor in our countries. We do, if we don't want ECOWAS intervention, we will say because we are sovereign, we will oppose such interventions from ECOWAS. And we do things at geometrically variable levels. But when it is in our favor, we want to use ECOWAS as a ladder to attain such an objective. And I believe that this is what we avoided in that committee. We should understand that ECOWAS is not just a political instrument. First of all, this is an economic area. The people of ECOWAS want us to handle economic issues relating to development. So increasingly, we should have that at the back of our mind, and so that we work towards achieving the economic development of our countries instead of talking about issues relating to politics and elections. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Ghana is an interested party when it comes to the issue that is being discussed, especially for the fact that we have had our persons who were murdered, or if you want to call it massacred, in broad daylight. But then, we are talking as ECOWAS, and we should be persons, or we should be a community that should be working as mediators, advisors, people who want to see peace, bringing people on board, ensuring that there is understanding, rather than going in to bring divisions, cause problems, and add issues that are not the best. I am saying this because today Gambia, I can confidently say, is stable, and we are quite aware that the issue that is at stake is so sensitive that if we joke, we will divide the country again, we will have issues coming up, and it's going to affect us. We've already seen what has happened, and we know very well that stability in every country comes with peace. And so we need to be very conscious of whatever actions we need to take. ECOMOG was formed. It was part of the support of bringing peace and stability to Gambia. Today, we come in and we talk of establishing, not supporting them to establish, not encouraging them to establish, not discussing with them how to establish and what to consider, but rather to establish it ourselves. No, it wouldn't be good for us. When there's anything that comes up, then we will not be able to intervene. So I will plead that just as the committee has said, we should stay out of forming a committee that should go and look at the issues in Gambia. We shouldn't forget that Gambia is still a country that has a president, the security, and all those people are still there. They are still ruling the country, and they are forging ahead. So what are we saying? Are we going to take the powers from them and form the committee in order to deal with the issues? Or what are we talking about? So, Madam Speaker, for me, let us allow Gambia itself to look at the issues and to ensure that the right thing is done. They may consult individual countries when they want to talk to stakeholders or interested parties or even individuals. But we should not be those that will establish such a committee. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.